Hey everyone, Craig Williams here, back with another video. In this video, I'm going to show you a couple of techniques I use for mix downs of my tracks, and hopefully you'll be able to use some of these techniques to improve the mixes of your tracks. Just a quick disclaimer before I start, I'm not a pro at this by any means. These are just the things that help me get my mixes a little bit better, so hopefully you'll get something out of it. Cool, so I'll just quickly start off with a couple little charts to help you understand. So if you're new to mixing down or you're new to mixing music in general, hopefully these will be able to help you understand what's going on a little bit more in a visual representation as opposed to just trying to listen to it. So here we have the frequency chart from 20 Hertz all the way through to 20 kilohertz. This is where obviously all your sounds are going to sit. This is where the human ear can hear all these sounds. So just remember, when you're mixing your track, if you start boosting a lot of things around like 100 Hertz, obviously they're going to add on top of each other, and then it's just going to get a bit too much in that frequency range. That applies to any of it. And obviously you hear terms like if a mix is muddy, it just like got a lot in the low end, it just needs to be tightened up and stuff like that. Or if it's a bit too harsh, you've got too much in the high end. Next up is just a stereo like spread chart if you want. This is just showing that not only are you just mixing everything for in the frequency range, you're actually mixing it to spread the sound out as well. So it adds a little bit more to the listener. They're not just getting everything in their face, they're actually getting sounds in a full range. This is just a representation of a band. You can see they got the bass, the kick, and the snare, the vocals, and then you start to get things like the guitars. Guitars panned left and right, and then you got toms. Obviously, they've got this as a perspective as a drummer, so you got the toms and stuff here, so it you get a bit more of a spread. This can apply to dance music as well. Same thing with the kick, snare, and bass and vocals all in the center, but then you can have things like synths panned out and percussion elements panned out like this. Obviously, you can have guitar and stuff like that as well. Next up is just a little chart from Future Music that helped me when I first started, just to give me a ballpark of where sounds sat in the frequency range. So I'll put the link to this in the description. So if you want a copy of this, you can put it on your desktop. Just use it as a little bit of a reference. By no means just use this as hard and fast rules. This is just get you in the ballpark to help you get moving a little bit quicker as opposed to sitting there not really knowing what to do. Just help you a little bit more. And the last one we've got is an interactive frequency chart. As you cross over these different instruments, you can see you got vocals, percussion, brass, and all that. As you move across, you can see in the instrument data on the right hand side there, it gives you the fundamental, the overtones and stuff like that. And also it gives you, as you cross over the different frequency ranges, it gives you spectrum data for each instrument. So that's also handy to have for when mixing and not really knowing where to start. You can use this as a reference to help you get you going. But at the end of the day, if it sounds good, just run with it. So this is the track that I've been working on, and I've pretty much got it up to the point where I'm ready to mix down. I'll show you the mixer window. So as you can see, there's a couple of instruments and a couple of plugins that aren't on this system, because again, I made the project on my main computer and I'm just doing the video off my laptop. So as you can see already, I've pretty much gone along and low cut nearly every element that I've got in the mix. Yeah, it's every element except this one effects here. And I think that's just because I finished the track and I haven't started the mix down yet, so that will probably get low cut as well. It's not too heavy on plugins for things like the drum elements and stuff like that, and the synths and stuff like that. It's just got some simple, obviously they've all got the sidechain compression, and then I've just got filters on there and stuff like that. So my first tip for you would be, when starting a session, is to try and have all your levels at starting between -6 and -8 dB. This gives you lots of headroom, so when you're mixing the track, you're going to start with a lot of room to move, and you're not just going to be pushing that master bus super hard. It's going to sound a bit low when you're making the track, but all you need to do is just turn the volume up on your sound card or your computer, and then just get your volume that way, as opposed to pushing all the levels up here and then maxing out your master. Next one is to go through and everything that is a mono channel you think should be mono, like I showed you in this this chart here. So you kick, bass, snare, vocals and stuff like that, is to come along, and I've made them mono here. As you can see, that's a stereo and that's mono. So I've gone along and made them mono, helped them punch through a little bit more. Again, I've done the same for bass. It's got a stereo here, but if you go into the plugin, you've got the mono there. Next one is to spread your sounds out. So things like hats and stuff like that. Before I go into that, go into things like bussing. So I've got, if I click over, not that one, click over, go to this one, to the arrange. And as you can see here, I've got a clap and a snare. You won't hear the snare because it's the plugin's not on this computer, but let's give you a little bit of a play. As you see there, I've got the two elements going together. One thing you can help you do is bus elements to help things gel together. So simply just come along, select all the tracks that you want to bus, go across to your mixer. I've got them going to bus 40 at the moment, which is my master bus. Come along, start at 15, double click, go across, output them, and then this would be snare bus. Bring it down, and then I like to have it under the last element. So these elements now are coming into this snare bus here. As I said before, you're only going to hear the one element because I don't have the plug-in on this laptop. And then what you can do is start to treat that sound. You can start to treat that sound to help glue the two sounds together. So rather than them sound like a clap and a snare individually, they'll just sound like one whole element. You can use this for things like bass. You can use it for synths. You can use it for any elements to help glue things together, help them sound a bit more full. Also from there you can go again and do kick, snare and hats to help glue them, to make them sound as one drum kit as opposed to different samples playing. Another thing you can do is just help spread the sounds out to give them a bit more stereo spread. I'll just do it to one of the hats here. Is to come along and just put a simple sample delay on. Most systems should have this. Where have we got it? In here. So I'll just come along. Anything under 200 samples is good. You just got to check different things for phasing, because the last thing you want to do is have it play on a mono and then sample, then the sounds cancel themselves out. So you probably won't hear this at home, but just for in case you do, got simple sample there, and then when you bring it onto a sample delay, it just helps spread the sound out a little bit more. Another quick trick you can use for that, if the sound is a mono sample, and you can't get a stereo, you can't get a delayed sample of there, just come along, put a really small tight reverb on it, down to 15%, and then this will give a reverb sound, and then when you put the sample delay on, that will help spread the reverb sound out. Just got to watch how much actual reverb you have on it and stuff like that. It starts to, obviously, again with the phase cancellation and whatnot. As I mentioned before, low cutting everything. This helps tighten up your mix. It just helps, it just makes the mix a lot more tighter. If you have everything down in the low end, you won't hear the punchiness of the kicks and the bass and whatnot. For me, I just find that if I just low cut everything, I've even low cut things like the kick, just got a 53 hertz there. I was listening to it before, and when I kicked it down to like 49 hertz, the kick became a lot more subby. So obviously that's going to be a case of just dialing it in and seeing what works in the clubs and what works in your car, in your headphones and whatnot. But for me, I usually start cutting from about 40 to 50 hertz, just cut everything. Helps tighten everything up and make it sound a bit better. Another quick thing you can do is if you've got, we'll use this channel again, you've got this sound that's a little bit too much in your face. One thing you can do is just have the same sort of reverb again, and then just pull down the dry level up the reverb time and up the wet, and it just helps push the sound back in the mix a little bit more. You just got to make sure you don't have too much reverb on the actual sound. You just want to use the reverb to push the sound further back in, help create a little bit more depth in your mix, so everything's not so much up in your face. What else have we got? Other little tips, I like to mix with the ozone on the master bus, only just with the CD master exciter and widener, sorry, and I don't have it really pushing too hard. It's just to help glue the sounds together. If I take the ozone off, all it really does is just bring the volume down and just spread, and then the sounds don't sound as glued together. So I like to keep that on. It just helps give me some idea of what the mix is going to sound like when I have the track finished. Some other little bits when you're trying to get elements to work, and when you're trying to get the actual mix to come together, try mixing it from the main sections of your track, not so much the breakdowns, because it will have less volume and less elements. If you mix it from where you got the full elements, you'll be able to see where everything sits in the mix. Yeah, that's it. That's about it. That's just some quick techniques that I like to use. If you've got any questions on this, feel free to drop us a line. And if you want any other bits covered, just drop us a line again and I'll try and cover it. Till next time, see you later.